All right, but jump in real quick. My thing is this too. Fine. I agree with everything. Jump in. I agree with everything
Hey,
that's
hold on,
being said.
seven sign. Let the new speaker get in, fam. Come on.
Going. So
What up?
actually, AD, you're kind of historically wrong on the matter. I know AD for about 4 years on the set. He's a good friend of mine on here, but you're just historically wrong on this. Even Thomas Jefferson, the person the biggest advocate for separation of church and state, he funded parishes in Louisiana after the Louisiana Purchase, which Christianized Native Americans using the Catholic Church and paid for the salaries and the building of the parishes across all of Louisiana to force Native Americans to be Christianized. Also, every Native American that
Did
were
he
sent to
fund
Christian
that from
boarding
the U.S.
schools.
Treasury or did he fund that from his own estate?
Yes, U.S. Treasury.
Okay.
U.S. Treasury, sir.
Okay.
Yes, and then the first printing of the English Bible in America, because we already know that the King James Version was the first one, and the Tinsdale Bible. But we're talking
I
about
thought
in
the
America.
Algonquin.
That was funded by.
I thought the
That was
Algonquin Bible came
yeah.
before the King James Version.
Well, you might be right, but you're probably right on that. But if you look at the first printing of an English Bible in America was funded by the founding fathers, which goes against this notion of separation of church and state. Number two, the word separation of church and state doesn't appear on any of the American founding documents.
Come out before you run off with that. The founding fathers, that'll be 1776. That was a Bible that was being printed and
No,
published.
to the 1820s. To the 18, remember, a lot of them were in charge for like 20, 30, 40 years, right? James Madison, John Adams, they were all in positions of power for the next 20, 30, 40 years in different government positions.
I got that, but I'm saying that was a Bible that was being printed and published before 1776 in the Western Hemisphere or in the Western world, correct?
No, I'm talking just in America. I'm not talking about Western Europe.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
And,
so the
and
first
wait,
thing of
no,
Bible.
wait. Also, before you take off, why was the Catholic Church such an important staple in Louisiana during the time that Jefferson gave them money as far
The French Cajuns, they all came from, because Louisiana used to be a French colony. So, or let's say maybe not even what you would call it. Yeah, but it was settled by Frenchmen, and so was
French
Canada,
and Spanish.
Quebec.
Yeah.
And then the Spanish had Florida and Mexico. Yes, exactly.
There's a reason why I'm asking you that.
Yeah.
Why was he funding them at that point in time within Louisiana?
A few reasons. So the founding fathers thought that like the only way for Native Americans to live peacefully with the whites without constantly engaging in cultural wars and violence was for them to be of the same, like let's say, religion and culture, Western culture, Western European culture, etc. That's why a lot of the founding fathers and everybody until the 1800s used to send Native Americans to Christian boarding schools to Christianize them, essentially.
Can you give us a source of that? Because I have a different history and a different understanding of that. So could you cite a source for that?
Okay, I'll look up a source right now.
Oh, you haven't actually read this yourself and studied it?
No, I have, but like I don't remember the thousands of books I read over the last 30 years, and I can't name you the page and number of every book I read and every letter that I read.
Ask you about a page and number. I didn't ask you about a page. Yeah, I didn't ask you about a page and number, and I didn't know it took thousands of books to remember it. So my apologies. I didn't know. No.
You can look at the treaty that he participated in writing and drafting, where the parts of it said to literally Christianize the Native Americans using the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the source right there. So then, like, first of all, the word separation of church and state has not appeared on any official governmental document in the founding of America and thereof, except at the federal level. Let's say that's that's the only place that appears.
And why do you know why that is?
I do know why they didn't do these things. Yeah.
Why do they only talk about that at a federal level?
because the Western civil, like the Western Europeans from which they're from Europe, understood that like religion was a huge facet of society, and the laws you make come from the moral and ethical frameworks of your religion. And so that trying to separate church and state completely was trying to remove the moral and ethical framework on which the laws of your society are built in the first place.
So
And it
making
depends on
sure
the
that it's
and
on.
this is kind of just 1 second. This is kind of complicated because every founding
It's not
father
complicated at
had,
all. It just takes steps.
no, it is.
No,
No,
it's
from
not.
my
Because I
perspective, it's
actually
complicated.
understand it. That's why I'm asking you these questions.
No, I get you. I get you. And I'm not saying it's too complicated for you. That's not my intention. I'm saying even from my reading of the founding fathers, every faction of the founding fathers had a different understanding of what I'm telling you. Some people wanted what Jefferson wanted, which was a very small percentage of complete separation of church and state, along with James Madison. But the other side of the founding fathers that liberals and conservatives never talk about, like Oliver Ellsworth, like they were like, that's lunacy. You need religion. And John Adams said that this constitution was made for holy, moral, and religious
But
people, and not for secular liberals and atheists who don't believe in religion.
I got you. So check this out. If it's only dealt with on a federal level, don't you think that
Yes.
that clears out a lot of other mix-ups that could come about, let's say from a city or municipality level, a state, a county
No, it
level?
doesn't extend down there. It
No,
doesn't
no,
because
no, no,
even
no, no.
after the
Listen to my
oh,
question.
sorry, go ahead.
Listen to my question.
Yeah.
My question was when you deal with it only on one level, which would be the federal level,
Right.
it X's out all the other confusion that could come from dealing with it on other levels like states and counties and shit like that, right?
Yes, I would
Okay.
say that if you
Okay.
follow the
Hold on.
conclusion of
Hold on.
the federal separation of church and state,
I
then
got you.
it follows that states and municipalities can also have complete separation of church and state, and there's nothing to stop it. I
I
do agree
got you.
with that. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. Gotta walk me down the block because this shit could be seen from the driveway. So that's one step towards separation of church and state. Now, also, um, you would say that there's different levels of law, correct?
Yes, there's
Like
like maritime law, there's social law, there's familial law, there's laws of
ecclesiastical
divorces,
law.
ecclesiastical law,
What is
absolutely, absolutely.
ecclesiastical law? I mean, law. What is that based in?
Theology of your denomination of Protestantism or different theologies of religions.
Would that be a separation of church and state?
So yeah, because like the
Is
way the Catholics
ecclesiastical
practice,
law different than the Bill of Rights? Is ecclesiastical law
yeah, there's
different than
civil
common
law
law?
and religious law. But
Okay.
then like historically in Catholic Europe, let's say before the Protestant Reformation, you have the church with its own body of laws. You would have the Caesar or emperor or king with his laws, civil laws and administrative laws.
Yeah.
And generally, before, let's say, the Protestant
That sounds like
Reformation,
today, right? That sounds like the society.
yes, but that's how all societies function. Like even though
Oh,
liberals and secularists
so
want to
wait.
prevent that
Don't
from
no no
happening,
no no.
since
Stop trying to walk down the street because I told you we could see this shit from driveway. Now, what was your original statement when you addressed Adrian about his stance on the separation of church and state?
I thought I said that it was a propaganda by let's say democratic socialist Thomas Jefferson.
No, that's not what you said. You actually went against
I
the
said a bunch of things.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
said
I
a bunch
wanted
of
you to
things,
get to
right?
the part to where you stated that he was incorrect in his position and that you kind of made it seem
No.
like
In the historicity and the intentions of the founding fathers, that's what
hmm.
I said he was wrong in.
But was he stating it from the founding standpoint, or I mean, founding father standpoint, or
He
was he
could
just
be
stating it from
right.
a church, a separation of church and state?
Both, because the person who introduced the idea of the separation of church and state into America was Thomas Jefferson in a private letter to a Baptist convention in 1804, 20 to 30 years after the founding of
So
America.
ecclesiastical law didn't exist on this side of the globe before then.
No, I didn't say that. Every
Okay, then,
denomination had their own
which meant every
ecclesiastical
I
law.
got you, I got you. Told you, you stayed trying to walk down the street. I could see this shit from the driveway, girl.
Yeah, but not everybody in the room can see it from the
I got
driveway.
you.
They're
And
still
you
at the
talking
street.
them into a circle after going against your own point to further explain why you're about to jump from the next point won't help them understand either. So you started off by saying that he was wrong in his position and what he was proposing about church, the separation of church and state. And then you're actually sitting here admitting step by step the process of the separation of church and state and how it's actually more beneficial to deal with it on a federal level. Hence the reason
No,
why.
no, that's not what I said.
Gotcha.
That's not
Gotcha.
my
Okay,
position,
so
though.
repeat for the people what you said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out your way.
All right. So, because what I said earlier was that so many different founding fathers have different positions on this topic, on nearly every topic, that anyone can justify the ideology and the level of state and separation of church and state that they want to for their own personal gain.
And you also added,
Yeah.
that before 1776, before the formation of the United States of America, that there was already a system of church and state being separate within other places, right? You did?
That's not what I said. No, I said that's a Catholic thing, right? That I went back to Catholicism. That
Did
they also
Catholicism start in America
state
or did it start
in a
before the
different way.
incorporation
No,
of America?
look, I'm getting there. Just give me a moment because these
I
things are
know
very
you started trying to
complicated.
walk down the street. I could see
No,
it
I'm
from the
not.
driveway,
You
cuz.
think I am? I'm
All
not.
right, all right,
I'm
don't get
not.
out your way,
I'm
cuz.
trying to show you. Yeah. Just I'm trying to give you like, I'm trying to give you a. All right, let me explain this to you. Okay, ready? Okay, so before the American Revolution, the Anglican Church was the Church of America. Okay, most Americans were Anglicans who came from England, from the Anglican Church, which was a reaction against the Catholic Church, but nonetheless, it was the state church of England. A lot of the people who came here were Anglicans, but
What about the ones that came?
also, I'm getting there. That's
Okay.
what I was going to say next, right? You have the Spanish and the French, and they brought Catholicism.
The
Fine.
Spanish were here before the Anglican, huh?
I get it. I know this. I understand. We're talking about
But the Spanish were here before the Anglican Church, right?
Yes, I
Okay,
understand
so
that, but they were solely in Florida, right? In the American continental America, which we're talking about.
so you
They were
only
in
consider
Florida
America to be the 13 colonies originally, right? Which were under British
because
rule,
that's well, yes, sure, because
with no
that is what they
influence
are,
from
right?
any other nation before the British set
No,
up.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that there was no other influence anywhere. That you're just putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm
saying
asking a
that
question.
Right. Gotcha. So the modern America as we know it were definitely from the British 13 colonies. They weren't Spanish Latin Empire. Okay. They weren't an aristocratic empire built by conquistadors who were the second and third sons of Spanish aristocrats. They are a completely different civilization and did not influence America to be what it is today. Okay, the people who did influence America to be what it is today are the Puritans and Quakers who are different than the Anglicans. So in America, you had the maybe a large proportion of the population who were like maybe 70%. I'm just throwing out a number there for
The
Anglicans.
Puritans and the
But they
Quakers.
also had
Why do you keep sticking to this narrative of colonizers meeting Indians? Like that's when the history started.
like are we talking about America or are we talking about Native American tribe right now?
See, we on two different timelines. Carry on. I'm gonna get out your way.
I mean, you can't talk about one without talking about the other.
No, because the Native Americans were not the ones who built America as the country it is today, formulated it, put the founding principles, put the pre-axiomatic ideas and rules.
What?
I hear you, but it's
How
just
how do you figure that?
um,
Well, before you answer that, let me ask you a question. Do you think the Asians helped build the railroads in America?
just because you help build the railroads in a country doesn't mean
No, I
that you
asked, do
built the
you think? No,
foundations.
I didn't ask that. I
I'm
asked, do
telling
you
you
think?
no,
Okay,
right? And then I'm saying why I think no.
okay. So you just feel like they were there at some point in time. They didn't actually
Like
help.
cheap labor doesn't make the civilization. So, like in Rome, for
What the
example,
fuck
you had
does it
Gallic
make then?
slaves.
Sandwiches?
In Rome, for example, you had Gallic slaves from Gaul once they were conquered by Julius Caesar. The rich Romans brought the cheap slaves from the Gaul back to Rome and used them to build up their plantations and villas. Okay, those people did not.
Don't
build
that sound like
Rome. The
motherfucking
Romans built
infrastructure?
Rome. Yeah,
It's not like infrastructure.
yes, but like the lower class Gauls. Oh my God, this is wild. Okay. Um, The cheap labor used to build infrastructure could have been used as anyone else. The problem was
But
that
it
movement labor
wasn't
was
used
more
as anyone
expensive.
else. Almost doesn't
It
count.
could have
Like,
been. It could have been. It
shoulda,
could have
woulda,
been.
coulda.
That's my
Nigga,
point.
Lil Saint could have lived in hardball. The nigga didn't.
No,
Like,
because wait, why would rich Romans use
I mean, not
Roman
Lil Saint.
slaves?
My bad.
Right, right. Because look, because all his countries throughout human history, right, whether it's tribal Africans in Africa, right, they would take slaves from
Hey,
other
why the
tribes
fuck
to
you went
use
to
as cheap
Africa? I look
labor.
African to you, but
Oh my God, it doesn't matter. I said
them
all
thick ass
countries around the world,
glasses. All of a
including
sudden, I look.
Africa,
All right.
had cheap labor from other smaller tribes, whether it's the Aztecs, whether it's the Chinese. They all brought war slaves back to their countries. Those were cheap labor because they did not want to pay their own citizens more money to do that labor.
All labor was enslaved labor.
Not all labor, but a lot of labor was, yeah. Because the middle class corvée labor wasn't slave labor. It was a duty that the middle class took on to build up the Egyptian pyramids and infrastructure and forts in your own societies. This was expected as a duty from the middle class to be a part of that empire or country or polity in the first place. But I think we're straying a little bit too far off the topic. I just
No,
want to go back
nigga,
to
you
separation
straying
church and
away
state.
from the topic. We was on topic.
Because you're asking like 20 questions,
I
dude.
mean, shit. I'm trying to make sure you know what the fuck you talking about. At
No,
this
I'm
point, it
trying to
sound
get
like
back
you
to
just.
Jefferson and
Alright,
the
well,
founding
go
and
do what the
the
fuck you
separation
gonna
of
do
church
then,
and
homie.
state. Like,
Do what you gonna do
let's
then,
get
my
back to
nigga.
that
Go
shit.
ahead. Shit.
Oh my God. All right. So Adrian, when he believes in separation of church and state, is believing in a very minority position in America at that time, okay, of Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, who were the biggest proponents of separation of church and state. They wanted to completely separate it or separate it as much as possible. The irony here is that both Jefferson and Madison, in their elder years, both agree in letters or in public that actually, like, you can't fully separate church and state. Madison, when he's 80 years old, he says, I've spent my whole life trying to separate church and state in America.
That nigga shit ain't no goddamn 80 years old, man.
Yeah, but as he says in his letter that
Source up.
The more I read about society and religion and the laws of the country, he's beginning to realize that they're so intermingled together that trying to separate them would lead to the destruction of the society and the civilization. Okay, so
Source up.
like
Drop a link for that letter so we can read it ourselves. It sounds like you made that shit up in the car, kid.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing it because I don't.
Okay, so you did make it up in the car. Okay, I see.
But like, it's because I don't have photographic memory, and because I'm retarded, I have to rely on these devices for me to convey like quotes and ideas that I've read from hundreds of books back to you, right? Because I don't have photographic memory.
You read them in hundreds of books and you still forgot what was said? That's crazy.
I mean, do you remember?
Call yourself retarded.
Some thick ass glasses, he deserves to use whatever word he read in life.
Every letter and every word of every book you've ever read in your life.
No, we just asked if you had a source because no, fuck out of here. You ain't you not finna use that one as a crutch. If somebody asks you for no, fuck all that. Yeah, all that shit too. I got you. Yeah. At the end of the day, if somebody asks your ass for a motherfucking source so they could do their own research and you ain't got one, that's your fault, not their fault.
Letters of James Madison, they're publicly available on the internet.
Yeah, publicly available where? If they ask you where those letters are found, you need to tell them where they at. I don't want to hear all that old shit. You can't get mad at us because you ain't got the source for the motherfucking shit you talking about. That's your goddamn fault. No, you can't get mad at us if you ain't got the motherfucking source. You out here talking about I'm reading from my text messages right now. Here, there, thick glass, nigga, ain't nobody trying to hear that shit.
I remember.
Yeah, it ain't our fault. Don't be mad at us, cuz that is on your body, man.